So hello everyone, Mon here. We get my review of episode 16. So it was an interesting episode. I found it. I mean, it depends how you look at it, right? Because in the beginning, it definitely was like it was just kind of nice. They went and shopped. They went to get julklappar, as we say in Sweden. Come on, guys. I'm biased, but like they talk about the jul, right? With the U-L-I. But it's spelled with J-U-L, simply today, right? In like Sweden and Norway and so on. And as you may or may not know, I'm really from Sweden, right? And I lived in different countries and so on. I currently trying to live in Stockholm. I'm currently trying to get Stockholm, but anyway. So for example, I was home in my hometown, right? This Christmas or this jul, as we say. We say the word jul here. So to me, it gets pretty weird to me when they use that word because I know that's the spelling of it, like in like classic English old spelling, right? For the winter time. But we still use that word in Sweden. And I think in the rest of Scandinavia, they use the word jul. And say, and we have a jultomten in Santa Claus. And julklappar, Christmas present, and so on. And like Merry Christmas is God Jul, and so on, right? So for me, it's kind of like, why can't you say jul? Like jul, you see the word we use here. And obviously, the way I was thinking about that director a lot is because Elias, to me, one of the things that is a reindeer, right? It's clearly from Scandinavia, because Linda was definitely a Same in the beginning of that storyline, the backstory. They live up in the snow, they're reindeer, he looks like a reindeer, right? I think it's like a reindeer future, whatever, but they're clearly from northern Scandinavia, like likely Sweden or Norway, given the Same outfit and so on, people there. And so it's like, aren't they from Scandinavia? Wouldn't he celebrate jul? I mean, with a yay. Anyway, I've been saying, it's like, come on, anime, call it jul. As we still call it. So they went there, bought some julklappar, and I don't know, as a storyline, I felt a little. This anime has a lot of problem pacing. This anime is very beautiful. In the beginning, it was very beautiful, like when they looked at the sunset, whatever. Was it the rise or whatever? The sun going up or down, and then has some sparkling. It's very scenery. The anime is also very scenic, right? Very beautiful, and that was kind of fine. And then they went into her meeting of Alice, and they went and shopped and so on. But I felt like the first 5 or so minutes at least was just like, scenery and images and basically no dialogue. And this anime is great. It's really beautiful. The pacing is very slow though, but it's a slow-paced anime. It's the kind of it isn't like Black Clover, where it's very obvious that it's just padded out, and it's like, come on, why is the fight like 10 minutes long? It's like the fight should be shorter, right? It's not that at all. So it doesn't have that kind of same feeling as the Black Clover has, which is really bad paced. But this instead is more like, it's slow paced generally, and it's kind of like a nice, beautiful anime, right? Kind of slow building storyline. But this episode, I would say, is the slowest of them all, right? I would have to say that it's the slowest of them all. This episode is the first half almost. It's just like that, right? They have a dialogue. They just walk around and look at stuff, and they point at stuff, and they pick up stuff, and they like grab something here, but they pick up stuff, and they're like, whoa, it's kind of like that. And I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever seen in my life. I don't think it's at all. I think it's pretty good, but I didn't feel it isn't that bad. But I think the problem is, like, let's compare to Eurocamp. So Eurocamp, which actually is really funny, I think, suddenly. But Eurocamp in the beginning was kind of more mellow. It was very much like, yeah, let's go camp, and it's kind of like that. And then actually speeding up. Right now, I think episode 4 I think it was more fun. Episode 3 and so on. Yeah, it was really fun actually. Episode 4 Eurocamp was actually a very good episode. But that anime, it kind of established that, okay, it's slow, it's mellow, it's very nice alive, very nice. It's just a friendly camping, nothing dangerous, right? It's like a nice family anime, so to speak. And this anime is establishing a pace, I would say, at the higher than Eurocamp, Ancient Magus Bride, but not so much higher, right? But there's still that established pacing they have. And when they then drop down to the pacing, to like Eurocamp pacing, like Eurocamp episode 1, something is kind of similar here in this episode, then it gets kind of weird because you can definitely have the different kind of pacing tempo, right, of the different animes. So for example, take something like 7 Deadly Sins, season 1, specifically. That's amazing pace. It's like 4 episodes, like 4 chapters per episode. It's crazy pace, right? Tokyo Ghoul season 2 is like 10 chapters per episode. It's like absurdly too high paced and it's unwatchable, right? It's too much information. It's completely unwatchable. It's horrible. But see how percent of me, right? They go from like, I probably would say them at like an 8 out of 10 or so. Estimated about it, like a slow paced anime, like purpose slow paced. That's what it is. And then this goes out to like 10, right? That still feels though. So I think it's like, even this might sound like a lot of ranting here or mumbling, whatever you want to call it. But my point is that even though if it's hard to say, oh, this anime went, how can it be slower paced? It's very slow paced. But I think it's because not necessarily because there is a bottom, right? That's endless, but more like it's relative to other things. It's a kind of scaling. I probably would say Ancient Magus Bride is like an out of 10 or so in tempo, in like slow tempo, and in Eurocamp is like 10 out of 10. I know it went to the Eurocamp level, right? And that still feels off. You feel like it's like a lot of means, yeah. And it feels like it's a lot of this like exposition of scenery and so on, which of course is always done. But I think a problem here, I'm thinking about it more too, that it was really long in the beginning. It was a very, very long, heavy episode. And earlier episode has been more like, okay, let's show this like dragon flying and it's like water explosions. It's very beautiful, right? It was kind of like, yeah, let's show like London's Yule time. It's like, whatever, that didn't mean anything. I think it actually was, it was cute and heartwarming, but at the same time, it's kind of like, whatever, right? It's just random shopping. It didn't really fit in my opinion. It was like too less magical, I suppose. Even though you saw some magical thing flying around, like the thing was spying on him from Ilya and so on. So it wasn't all bad. I was saying it was horrible. I was saying that it clearly went down another pace, right? It went like 2 paces back again. And it was very noticeable. So I'm not a big fan of the first part, I suppose, as a storyline. And the problem with that also was last week, they kind of just wrapped it up so quickly. And I decided that that's really no cliffhanger. And here again, we have like nothing happened first time, right? Then we see Alice's backstory coming soon. But I don't know. I think this anime is kind of losing it now for me, honestly. If the anime started like this, I probably wouldn't keep watching it. But now I have invested a lot of time in it. So I probably will have to watch the end, right? I'm not saying it's bad, I'm saying that it's getting worse. And I think a lot of people they're gonna do the reviews and say, oh, this anime is so good, it's so magical, and so on. Because people tend to be too positive, in my opinion, right? They tend to be, on YouTube and so on, it's easier to say, oh, good stuff, because the people like you more, yeah. Then you get more likes, but you should still like and subscribe. Hope you still like and subscribe to my video, right? Because I'm the honest guy here. Yeah? I'm saying, like, this isn't actually that good. Like, it's decent, because it went from, like, I don't know, let's say it was an 8, 9 out of 10 anime, but this episode was like 6 out of 10. Probably not, so I think it's getting going down. And let's say also, like, Silky part was really good, that's really good last week, but the other part was bad. The Elven part was bad, in my opinion. And it ended without any kind of climax, right? And that's here, it's like the first time so being nothing happening, and then we get the climax last part. It's like, no. But anyway, let's talk about the Alice backstory then. So, her backstory, I think it was pretty fine, but I have to say, obviously, I think everyone agrees that, right? It's just Chise's backstory, right? Which I guess is the point of it. I guess it isn't all bad because it feels like it's intentionally close to Chise, so they can relate to each other and empathize and so on. So it definitely is intentional. I would argue for. So it's not horrible, but it doesn't feel like a super interesting flashback, honestly, because it's kind of like seeing the main character's flashback used a lesser value, right, or lesser like degree of horribleness, whatever you call it. So okay, she was parent the drug addict instead of parent trying to kill her, right? And you know, it's like similar thing, horrible parents, kind of ish, but yeah, people hated her, people hated Chise. You know, it's like fine by Magishi people carry. Actually, her life is better because she was found at an early age. Chise had to live to 18 at the time, so you know, it's a very similar backstory, just less magical her backstory. And then it's also kind of similar, like to get their work with the magician. Yeah, so it's, as I say, it's definitely intentional, but also there wasn't that long of flashback though, and that was good because it clearly didn't have much story to tell. Really, you can imply and assume what's gonna happen right, pretty easily if it's just Chise boys. So that's the thing with it definitely. But anyway, I think one thing there that it shows his scar. So Renfred is the guy losing both his arm and his face, right? And we've seen both of them twice. I have to say though, I like the whole scene where he saved her life and so on. It was really nice. It's a nice scene, but at the same time, I was thinking about it, and maybe this is me, but I compared it a little bit in my head. For everything was Scar in Full Metal Alchemist. He has the kind of cross, right? And this guy has the Scar. I mean, it's kind of similar, but I don't know. I was thinking about Scar for the reason. Obviously, a lot of like Iraq Sensei. A lot of people have scars, right? Guts has Scar. His dad cut him, right? Same with Iraq Sensei and so on. It's taking a Scar. Jin has a scar here, right? As I have, same kind of scar I have. You can see I have a scar here. We can see it because of my beard. I have a scar here. But yeah, like it's pretty common, right? Yes, of face scars. But I think that an issue with his backstory, maybe it's not the back. It's not the backstory's fault. Okay, so I want to define this thing here. It's not the actual backstory's issue. It's the issue of Renfred as a character, or not him maybe, but the anime and his upbuilding, right? Because I see this thing, I think, oh, that's how he got his scar. It's pretty interesting. But at the same time, I'm just had it like back in my head here, thinking about how Scar got his scar, which by my favorite character Kimberly, and that to me is like that makes a lot more sense. Not more sense for the story, but it's much more interesting because Scar as a character is much more defined. Scar's character is much more interesting for the story. He has more backstory, right? It's more important for the whole premise and the whole everything that happens in Full Metal Alchemist one, and etc. It's a character that has a lot more depth to it and a lot more importance to the story. Where Renfred feels like this like random side character. He's been in it twice, but it doesn't really feel like I don't think he's like whatever character, but to me, they haven't really built up Renfred as a character that I care enough to take his scar, right? I think that actually is a problem here, and I stand by that. Because the problem isn't the backstory itself. Because if I was watching episode 100 of Ancient Magus Bride, and we finally get Alice's backstory, and her backstory also includes, oh, that's how Renfred got the scar. Oh my god, like that would be pretty big, right? If it watches a lot of more episodes of the anime, and Renfred has been in a lot more, his importance of the character has a magic fight with the Wanderer, and they had all of these things, right? So then they would be much more impactful. But right now I kind of felt like, oh yeah, that's Renfred's scar. Okay, like I didn't get that wow feeling because him as a character hasn't been very important for the story, and it doesn't feel like he will be, and he's kind of a supportive character, right? So I think that's a problem with it, honestly. Even though it's perhaps a nitpick as well, but I think so. I think he as a character hasn't been important enough, right? And here spend time showing how he got the scar. I know it's more about showing why she likes him though. So I will say that it's more about her and not him. But it felt like it also was supposed to be a shock thing for him, right? And I think that for me personally, I just completely didn't care. Like I cared a little bit. I cared a little bit, but I didn't care much, right? I was kind of like, okay, like, that kind of like 2 out of 10 to price level, right? I think it's much more about her than anything. But so I think that kind of felt it too. That it just was like, I don't know. When actually, I think the backstory could have done a better job, maybe building him up or something, right? Something like that. Like, it built him up. It said that he defended her. He's a good guy and so on, right? But I hope it's not what I mean, right? It could have built him up. It felt like something's lacking here. Like it didn't give him enough backstory. And also, she just kind of just went with him, and it felt it was a little weird. It was a little weird. But anyway, the last part then. I think I said julklappar. That was cute. Elias bringing beer every year. I like that part. Her gift was pretty much put in her hand. That was kind of weird. And then, of course, Chise is knocked into whatever, some kind of kid at the train station, and with his sister, right? And obviously, those are one kidnapped by the Rinnegan Fox guy. Obviously, yeah. The last part is like those things. Look at the preview. It's clearly the same kids, right? So that's what they were planted there during the train station scene. So they will be later on be in the next story, right? So Fox guy is probably evil. I don't know what was that with him. So I think that's good at least he's back again, because the Fox story was really weird when it happened. Like it was super short, was sold in like 2 minutes, and then I was like whatever, right? So it's good he's back, because clearly he has a kind of agenda. So it's good that he has more story, because otherwise the Fox story would be pretty pointless, right? So that's good at least. But yeah, I hope you like my reviews. Subscribe, hit the like button, and see you guys next week.